What about now? Anything now? You guys can hear me now? Okay, cool. Yeah, usually I like to use the microphone on my headset because it comes in clear. It's a bit noisy in here, but this will work. So anyway, good evening, everybody. And hey, I appreciate you UK people showing up. That's I love the support. I feel the commitment. Thank you, guys. Anyhow, so let's just get right into it. If anybody, hey, Brittany. So let me share my screen, and you guys can do the same thing. Let me know when you can see it. All right. I need to move this over. There we go. Let's try again. Let me know when you guys can see the title slide. All right, perfect, cool. So anyway, as you guys probably know from the post earlier, I'm going to be talking about product bundling, and I think there's going to be some pretty wonderful little gems that you'll find in here that will apply to probably a lot of things beyond just bundling products on Amazon. But let's get into it. So product bundling, balancing the pros and cons, because there are indeed pros and cons. But first, let's start with what bundling is and why you'd want to do it. So bundling is when you take your primary product, you seek to add another lesser product to it, or multiple products, and you do that in order to increase value for the customer, but you do it at a reasonable minimal cost to yourself. So with Amazon, as I'm sure many of us are aware, especially at .com, it's getting more competitive. It's always getting more competitive. And it's a lot more difficult these days to find an existing market where you can just enter in there. There's one or two sellers, they're doing a crappy job with a crappy listing, and you can just come in and dominate with a copycat that's a different color, and you take over the market. That doesn't really happen anymore. That was maybe like something that died or started dying in 2016, 2017, early 2017, and now we're in 2019. So it's not really a thing anymore. And so we need to be a little bit more strategic. So bundling is a common strategy to overcome that problem, copycatting, but it does come with its own problems that you have to solve that software can't figure out for you in advance. So that's like the beauty and the pain of bundling, is because the reason it works so well is because you have to use your brain rather than just following what a software says, and then everybody floods the market with something. So bundling is a way of creating something totally unique, because even if someone makes something similar down the road, yours is going to be yours because nobody else is doing exactly the way you are. It's going to be something totally unique in the marketplace, and it can give you a fresh selling point over your competition. We'll talk about that a bit more later. So here's the really interesting part that just kind of came to me today as I was thinking about this a bit more. But bundling really, in a lot of ways, is really just a microcosm of what it is to be an entrepreneur, like in and of itself. Because here's the insight that I got. I was listening to Kevin Leary. You guys probably know him from Shark Tank, and he talked about business in general. And he said that it's a mix of artistic chaos and scientific discipline. And I was like, wow, that's what bundling is. Because because with bundling, you're not just strictly following numbers and data and doing all the scientific stuff, making sure that you're gonna have enough profit margin, making sure your product isn't too long or too heavy or something like that, so that your fees are gonna be too high. And it's not just the total like starving artist type work where you just use complete creativity in every single aspect and hope that someone loves what you're making enough that they're willing to pay you to do it. So it's in that mixed point of those two things where you're an artist, but you're also a scientist in a way. You mix those two things, and that's what an entrepreneur is, because you're going after where logic makes sense to put your pursuits to make money and bring value, but you also have to add your own flavor, your own spin to it, your own, personality, you can say. And that's what makes what you're making different than everybody else. So anyway, hope you guys found that as interesting as I did. But let's get into it, the pros of bundling. All right, so one of the pros of bundling is it's pretty simple. So, you know, I mentioned artistic stuff before, but the beauty of bundling products on Amazon is that you don't have to go full out artist and create something from scratch. And you don't have to be particularly like design or color scheme skilled or anything like that. You don't have to create some new perfect, beautiful design to put on your product to make it different. You don't have to create a custom mold, something completely unique. You can just take two products that are already existing, that are already relevant to each other, that are already good sellers, put them together if it makes sense, and you have something completely new. So it's easy. It adds value to the customer if it's desirable. Has to be desirable. We'll talk about that more later too. And when you do a really good job of strategizing it, you can actually make even more profit for yourself than your competitors that aren't bundling. But there's also situations where it makes sense to make slightly less profit than your competitors, because if you can take over the market, then it doesn't matter in the long run if you end up getting more sales. So it creates difficulty for potential copycat competitors to mimic what you're doing. Pretty straightforward. If you're bundling and you're doing something that requires more steps, more complicated, lazy competitors aren't going to do the work to do it. So you get that advantage, just you're hustling. And it gives you an edge to, I like to use the analogy of elbowing your way into competitive markets, because when you're getting on Amazon, it's like very, very rare, especially when you're new to it. You're not starting with a new product that doesn't exist on the market yet, because that would take too much capital. The marketing budget for that is insane. And we're starting with products that, you know, we can already see the demand for, move into, improve it, and go forward from there. So when you bundle, it gives you a reason, even though you're at a disadvantage from a social proof standpoint, to take some of that market share right off the bat. But there are cons. So with increased complexity, the reason the lazy people won't copy you is because it's more work. So what happens when you're bundling is usually you're bundling two different products that are related or in the same niche. Sometimes you could probably get them from the same supplier, but oftentimes you're going to get two different things from two different suppliers until the market completely changes and suppliers just start making this combo because it gets so popular. But in the beginning, you might be using two different suppliers. And that creates multiple relationships to deal with. You have different lead times for different products. One's more complicated, one's less. You have to order this one this much time in advance, the other one this much time in advance. Then you have to have them all centralized somewhere, whether it's one of your suppliers or a packing agent or something like that. You have to figure out, how am I going to pack this differently with this extra item in there, because my competitors only got this and I'm going to be adding this. How do I put that together without putting myself at a disadvantage for costs? So it can increase your costs. That's what we're going to get into next. Because if you can't figure out those problems, then you could sometimes put yourself in trouble, because if you add a product that's, say, too heavy, doesn't matter how much space it takes up, if it's too heavy and it puts you into a new fee structure and it's going to cost you more to ship from wherever your manufacturing country is, then that's money lost, and that makes it more difficult. Also, this is an interesting one. I don't know if this probably doesn't come to mind for most right off the bat, but it actually can make you less desirable to people who don't need or want your bundle. Even if your bundle is great, it makes sense, it's great value, maybe even you're selling at the same price as your competitor. If someone already has a perfectly functioning equivalent to whatever you're bundling with your main product, they're just gonna say, I don't need more crap around the house, unless they're a hoarder. And they'll probably just buy one of your competitors, and they'll probably just buy one of your cheaper competitors. So that's an issue to take into account as well, is that you kind of limit yourself, you put yourself in this box where you're going after this type of customer and you're forsaking this one and this one as a result. So this is where we get into the nitty-gritty of it, and that's the problem solving, because that is what bundling comes down to. There's something else I wanted to mention before I get into this, is that the reason why bundling is a really good microcosm of entrepreneurialism or business in general is because if you really analyze almost any shift in an industry or change in some type of market, it's usually a result of bundling without you really thinking about it that way. So for instance, an example that came to my mind when I was thinking about this was Netflix and Blockbuster. So pretty much all of us probably have some knowledge of what Blockbuster was, and now it doesn't exist anymore. And we all know why. And it's because Netflix determined, you know what? I bet people would like it if we bundled shipping to their door with their movie rentals. You know what I'm saying? So think about all the things that have changed over time, and think almost like whatever was improved was sometimes just a bundling of another service to a product that you desired as well. It's interesting to experiment in your brain with. But so let's get to the problem solving. So discovering desirability and determining feasibility. These are like the steps that you have to pass through and get your all your AOKs if you're going to go ahead with a bundle and expect it to do well. So desirability. If your bundle is not desirable, your product will likely fail. Confirming desirability is a key point of analysis when strategizing a bundle, because it speaks for itself. I don't need to explain there. But frequently bought together on Amazon is a great place to find what people are already buying together, and you can analyze all those different options. Usually on products that are super popular, there is it's not just those like 2 or 3 products that they'll show that they buy together. There's also, down at the bottom, there's a whole scrolling list sideways, or horizontal list or whatever, of things that people also bought with it, and you can look there too. So a bundle mismatch will put you at a competitive disadvantage, but a perfect match will put you at a huge competitive advantage. Feasibility. So this is where the scientist comes in, right? So the desirability is kind of artsy, but also science, because you got to know what's going to work, what's going to be complementary. But this is where the true science comes in. You have to know the weights of all these items, know the sizes of them. You have to strategize at home, if you have samples on hand, which you should, how you're going to fit this in a package, how you're going to fit it in a poly bag, however you're going to present it to your customer when it's delivered to them. You're going to have to figure out how that's going to work and determine what kind of fee situation this is going to put you in, not only for Amazon, which is easier, but getting some estimates on shipping based on what the carton size is going to be for this new custom bundle from China or wherever you're getting it from, so that you're not paying, say, more than like 15% extra in shipping from it taking up more cartons than your competitors would per unit. So this is where it becomes more interesting and more work too, is because, like I was saying before, software can't do this work for you, because if you're creating something new, you can't just plug it into a Maze-Owl or whatever it is and type all those numbers in exactly the same, because unless you've confirmed that you're going to be in the same exact bracket as your competitors for fee structure, then you're going to have to make some adjustments. And softwares, even no matter how advanced they aren't designed to use data that doesn't exist to make their predictions. You need to have data that, and sometimes you can't input that data. You just have to manually write it on paper and put it all together yourself. Okay, so next thing is the biggest challenge. Now, this is kind of an offshoot of what we just talked about. And this is where you determine what's too little, what's too much. This is where the big artsy side focus, I guess you could say, would be. So determining whether it's a standalone product or an add-on product. Now, there's some overlap there, and we'll get to that. So before bundling, you must determine if the product is an adequate add-on. It's not just a useless garbage gimmick, but not too much so that it will distract the customer from your primary product. Seth has talked about this a lot. It can create confusion where they're not sure which one is the primary product. So the perfect add-on product is going to be a balance of 3 factors. There's going to be real value added to the customer. So they see your listing's main photo and they go, wow, hey, I can get both of those for nearly the same price or just a little bit more than the other guy there. I like that. Number 2 is the actual cost. So what's actually going to cost you to provide that extra value, because it's not for free, of course. We talked about that already. And then number 3, the degree to which it's complementary, so it goes together with it. So obvious, we're going to use an example later on when I do a little case study, but you're not going to combine a barbecue lighter with a a pair of sheets for a bed, right? Doesn't make sense. Sup, Paul? How's it going? So every market niche is different. So there's never just going to be one winning combination of the above factors. And sometimes when you risk adding a higher value add-on item, something that maybe comes close to being a complete standalone, it can come with great reward, but there is risk. So what I'm saying here is it's not like, okay, 40% of the equation is making sure there's serious added value, 20% is what it costs you, and another 40% is how complementary. There isn't. It's just fluid. There's no magical equation to do this. It's an artistic thing. It's an inspiration perception thing that you apply your own personality to and your own thoughts to. So like I was saying, just one time, the rule of thumb we recommend is that you always create bundles with an add-on of significantly lower cost, because this reduces the risk of creating an unviable bundled product. So one thing is for sure, even if you end up bundling your main product with a product that could be considered a standalone, as in it's being sold all over the place by itself, you do not want to bundle with a standalone product that costs nearly as much or as much as your primary product, because that's going to create serious problems. It's going to hurt your profit margin, a lot of stuff there. You want to bundle with something that is significantly cheaper and that's going to add very minimal expense to your fee structure, so that it truly is almost non-existent from your cost structure compared to your competitors just selling the main product. So little subtopic here, ebooks. I'm doing good on time, so I'm actually gonna just do a little quick poll in here. I just want to get your guys' feedback. Just say like yay or nay, yes or no. Do you think ebooks are a high value or enticing bundle edition? Just an ebook, nothing else. Give you guys a couple minutes. It is ebook is bundle. Michael says no. I don't know what Paul's talking about. And cheap too, the way I like it. Marion says no. Yeah. Fisher says no, they're not a great bundle. Depends on the product, but yes, says Randolph. Scott says no. Jam says no. Clara says no. Okay, cool. Very good. Thank you, guys. I prefer a quick physical reference. How to guide. I like Mark Allen's thinking. Nope, rather, yeah. Okay, you guys are solid. You guys are solid. So, disclaimer, this is my general opinion. Likely there are some niche situations or niche situations that this wouldn't apply. Exactly like what I guess Randolph was saying, is that it depends on the product, but yes. But I still say no, but it depends on the product. Anyway, ask yourself this question. When you see two nearly identical products on Amazon, one's the bestseller with 1,000 reviews averaging 4.7 stars. The other is a sponsored ad with 3 reviews, but with a free ebook being offered on the main photo. What's your buying reaction? Feel free to put that in the comments as well, because if you guys are anything like me, I don't care about the ebook. I just buy the one that's got history if I'm in a rush and I don't have time to do all the research, and it's a simple product that I don't need to do any research on. So my personal view is that an ebook is only an added value in very limited cases. I would only be interested in an ebook if I'm convinced that its content would be specialized and authoritative on a subject that would be difficult for me to acquire on my own with Google. So if I'm not thinking that what they're providing in this ebook is going to be hard to find on my own or super valuable, I don't care. I'm not going to look at it. It's just a waste of my time. It's just clutter in my e-device, whatever. It's clutter on my computer. And so here's the situation though where I think it would work. This is kind of the situation where I think it's okay, because like Mark Allen said, 100% agree. A quick physical reference, 3-page instruction booklet, whatever it is, even just a 1-page little cardboard piece. Those are the best. That's all you need. Everyone wants to have basic instructions, know what they're doing, and be done with it. If you want to add on there, hey, here's some advanced use cases. Hey, here's some extra things you can do with our product. check out our ebook for all these fancy whatevers. That would be a use case for an ebook, but honestly, I don't even think I would advertise that on my listing because the uptake of ebooks is so low, at least from my understanding, and it is just best for marketing, like Marieke de Jager. You can correct me on that later, but it's better just for accumulating emails. So generally, ebooks function better as an email capturing system rather than a value add bundle. Like I said, this is my general opinion. There's some situations where an ebook can make sense. I'm not saying they're completely useless, but here's what I'm going to say about ebooks if you want them to be awesome. All right. So this is a physical book. All right. Let's see. I got to make sure you guys can see this. I'm just gonna hold it up at what I think is an angle you guys will be able to see. So recently, just like the other day, we got our first order from ButcherBox. So I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but good job, Paul. This is like the little recipe kitchen handbook that they give to you with your first order, and I am just blown away with this thing. It is like such a nice booklet that I literally would feel bad throwing it away. Like I need to put it on my bookshelf and keep it for reference because it's so nice. Like they have put time and effort into this thing. It gives all these like tool lists, it introduces their business owner. Can you guys see this? Let me know if this is like showing up because it's really gorgeous and I want you guys to get a little bit of a look on this. I'll keep flipping pages and I'll wait to hear someone say, yes, I can see it. But this thing is just completely gorgeous. And it gives all these different tips, recipes. It gives you instructions on how to cook certain meats. Gives you all the different recipes for different kinds of cuts. It's just freaking gorgeous. All right, hang on one sec. Let's see what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna exit out of this, and let's stop the share. Okay, now I'll be able to see if you guys can see it. Can you see it now? Can you guys see it now? You can't. There you are. Okay, so here is the ButcherBox Kitchen Handbook. All right, guys? Here's the ButcherBox Kitchen Handbook. All right? You open it up, beautiful table of contents. Click to the next page, introduces the business owner and his passion. Go through, giving you all these different tips on seasoning your meat. Gives you all the data on cuts. Then it just goes straight into pure recipes for different types of cuts. This thing is gorgeous and freaking amazing. If you can make an ebook, it doesn't have to be physical. Obviously, if it's physical like this, it's just so nice. Like the touch of it is also a premium. If you guys can make something like that in ebook form and people take hold of it, then you might start getting reviews that mention your ebook and people will be pumped about it. So that's something to keep in mind, all right? Okay, so anyway, we got through that already. So here's where I want to go next. I want to do a case study. Now I know these, you probably aren't going to be able to see these Amazon pages in detail, but I'll explain what's going on there. You guys can see the screen share again, right? Let me know. Anybody? Anybody? Yay, nay? You guys can see it? All right, perfect, cool. So anyhow, this is going to be a case study on showing what happens in marketplaces where bundles happen. So what we're seeing here is the top results, top search results when someone searches tea mug on Amazon.com. All right, so these are the, if you guys can see my mouse, the top 4 here are the sponsored ads, and the bottom 4 here are the top 4 ranked products, and then there's a little editorial area. But anyway, I pulled up a close-up of the listing of the Amazon Choice one. The best seller is over here on the far left, that blue one that also is the same as the pink sponsored ad in the top middle. Or what? And so here's what I want you guys to notice, which, like I said, you probably can't read all these, but I'm going to read them for you, okay? So the top number 1, Suisse 2101 porcelain tea mug with infuser and lid, 15 ounce. The second one, Tea Forte Caddy single cup loose tea brewing system, ceramic cup with tea infuser and lid, cherry blossoms, new infuser design. The third one, Amazon's choice, Teelyra Peak ceramic turquoise teacup infuser, 19 ounce, large tea high fired ceramic mug with lid and stainless steel infuser. Tea for one, perfect set for office and home use. And then this one is actually more of a camping mug, so it's different. But as you can see here, these tea mugs are not just mugs. And I looked up the dates on these guys, and I think it was the Cherry Blossom one came out in 2012. This guy, the Amazon's Choice, was 2015, and the bestseller is 2016. So I haven't done deep research on this, but I'm just going to guess, because if you can see down here in the editorial area, the best value is just a big set of mugs. Also consider, it's just a set of mugs. Best of the best looks to me like could have infusers, but it looks like it's just a fancy set of mugs. Looks, I don't know, a double wall. So those are probably just mugs that keep the drink hot or cold. So anyhow, I'm guaranteeing that a few years back, say before 2012 at least, when you search tea mug on Amazon, you just got mugs. But what happened is somebody thought of the idea of adding a bundle where it probably, if I had to guess, at least this is just my imagination on how this whole process happens, somebody probably just thought, oh, hey, loose leaf tea is getting really popular. People aren't using tea bags as much anymore. They're buying those little metal mesh balls that you just like hang in your tea mug like a tea bag, and you put loose tea in it, and they don't have the garbage and the waste. It's more environmentally friendly. It's got fancier high-class teas that you can use. This is the new trend. And it went from bundling a little ball with it probably to having the mug itself be the product that does that whole function in and of itself, where people have all these custom designs of, you know, in-fitted infusers. So this is my perspective on how the mug market is transformed with bundling. So anyway, like I said there, this is just kind of one example of a million that you can look into, and you can see how markets shift based on bundling, and how bundling can take you to the top of the food chain if you do it really right and totally displace all the plain Janes. And there's still going to be a place for them, right? People are still buying plain mugs because they don't all want infusers. They don't all need infusers. And this is, like I was saying before, is that, you know, some people are going to search tea mug because they just want a pretty plain mug for how they've always drank tea. And they're going to scroll past these guys to whatever's down below, which I didn't take a screenshot of, that probably eventually they're going to come across a plain mug, and that's fine. But who knows? Maybe you're going to be the person who bundles on a primary product and becomes the best seller for some time to come before the market takes another shift and you need to adapt, right? And so this is actually, I've already kind of early spoke on what I want to talk about now, which is the unseen effects of bundling, but there's more to it than just how it shifts the market, but it can shift the market. So we already talked about that. It can shift the market, change how things go. It can start a trend that if you're the early bird to that trend, you can make a killing. So depending on the significance of your bundled product, you can multiply the amount of keywords that you're able to rank for and gain sales from. Gimmick add-ons can't do this. All right. So if somebody were selling a tea mug and they're like, you know, I've noticed that when I drink tea after I eat a salad, the tea doesn't always rinse the lettuce out of my teeth. I think what I'm going to do is bundle some toothpicks with my tea mug. That's a great idea. We all know that's dumb, but nobody is going to want that. It's not desirable. And I guarantee your tea mug is not going to start ranking for toothpicks. But if you bundle with an infuser, something that's very related, very complementary, it might get to the point where you could start ranking for people looking for a tea infuser. They might be looking for just the infuser itself, not even know that a product exists where it's built into a mug. They might stumble across your mug if you're advertising your tea mug infuser on some of the cheaper, less traffic, less competitive tea infuser keywords. you might be able to start dominating these lesser keywords in your secondary add-on market because you have this bundle, and that gives you more channels for sales. So it's a huge benefit of bundling if you can strategize it right and see where the opportunities are. And sometimes they'll land on your lap and you won't even know about it. But here is one of the huge benefits of bundling. And oh man, this one I love. So what a great bundle can do is it buffers the any negativity that could go on with your product. So if you have a really great bundle of two really great products, chances are very rare that someone gets a defective product in which every part of it is defective. So what happens is if you can price your product competitively, keep your costs down, keep your quality up, and have a very, very well combined bundle of complementary products, what can happen is primary product can come to the customer messed up, broken, bent, defective in whatever way, but the secondary product works great and they're happy with that. Now, how, just imagine in your head, obvious, it's pretty obvious, but how do you feel when you get something and it's completely useless versus you receive something and it's part broken here? At least I can use this, but it's part broken over here. Way less negativity, way less emotional trauma, way less desire to go and just blah, 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 I hate this product, these people suck. So you have this huge buffering effect where it's so easy to manage customer service because the chances that someone gets two defective products or whatever, all of your products that you bundle together defective is so low that you can easily bring someone back into happiness by just replacing the whole thing. They get extras because they get a whole new bundle. And they weren't even upset to the extreme before because it was just one part that was messed up. So, and then the other thing too, so your sales trends, it's same thing related to how you can get extra sales from related keywords to your add-on. In the same way, it can buffer the seasonality of your product in a way because, you know, sometimes, you know, and we've all experienced this if we're selling, there's times where, and it can even be like a certain day of the week for your product is way slower than another day, or it could be a certain time of year, or a certain month of the year, that things are just slower. But if you have a bit more variety to your product, if you have, you know, this aspect that actually has a market of its own that exists, that you could actually market to, and it's almost like your main product is an add-on to those customers, that can be a place where you can get extra sales when maybe your normal product is, you know, not trending up. Now that does tread on the line of having two complete standalones, but like I said, as long as you're following the rules of keeping your add-on product much, much, much cheaper than your primary product, then you'll be in good shape, and it's fine for you to technically be selling two standalone products, as long as they're complementary. So here's a difficulty though that can happen, is that say you become very, very desirable to multiple markets because you've created such a good bundle. Both sides of it are desirable if you're only going to be doing two things. And what happens is maybe there's a ton of keywords for your product and you can only really optimize for so many. So that's one of the difficulties that can happen. It's not very common, but you know, it's something to take into consideration when you're doing this. You don't want to make your bundling efforts so complex that it'll be difficult to fit all of what you're doing in what you're limited characters wise on your title. You don't want to have to leave things out of your title so that people can't actually know exactly what your product is by reading the title. So that's just something to think about as well. So just finishing up, the recap here, is bundling for you? Things to go through, pretty simple. Would it be desirable? If it's not desirable, don't even think about it a second time. Go back to the drawing board, start over, do some more research, figure out what can work. When it's desirable in your mind, when you see that the market has already been attracted to both of these products at the same time, then you go into the feasibility. That's when you start talking to suppliers for the add-on product. That's when you start getting samples for the add-on product if the price is looking feasible. That's when you start working with your hands at home with the samples and putting them together and strategizing on how you can package them in such a way that is feasible for your fees, for your shipping, for all that sort of stuff. Then if that's doable, then you take a second look at the market. Is this going to be a tough sell, or is this going to be a no-brainer for people who are searching for the primary keywords for your primary product? If they see your photo next to the top competitor at the same price or slightly cheaper because you have enough margin that you can undercut the competitor in the beginning, are they going to go, holy crap, and look at that and go, okay, you know, whatever, they don't even have any reviews, but hey, that's worth looking at. Like, that looks pretty cool. That's what you want, you know what I mean? Because in the beginning, you're not going to make money. Your click-through rate is going to be sky high compared to your conversion rate. And that's just how it is in the beginning when you launch a new product. But if you're doing a bundle that is so desirable when people see the picture, it's just a matter of time. You pay for the PPC when it's losing you money, and eventually you get those reviews, and eventually you get some of that ranking, and it just snowballs as you keep doing a good job taking care of customers. So that's what you want to go for. You don't want to envision that hero shot of your product next to your competitor and be like, yeah, I know it's a good deal. I know it's stuff that they probably would use, but you know, I think it's just stronger to sell that separately. And let's see here. Can it create the opportunity for more customer traffic? So like we were talking about before, is it going to give you a little bit of that keyword advantage where you have some of that little, we'll just call it like maybe far extended capillaries of keyword relevancy, where you're going to get tiny bits of traffic trickling in from places you never expected because you're offering this add-on product rather than just the primary. So these are the things to consider. Hope you guys learned some good stuff, and now we're going to do some Q&A. And let me know when you guys can see me again. All right, here we are. So I'm ready for you guys when you are. I see Tony already asked a question. So let's get this over here. So what about the viability of using bundling of other people's products just to create my own new product ASIN? I'm thinking less effort, easier quotes, faster supplier response. I think it's not a bad idea, Tony. In fact, that's kind of what I do personally, except you're talking about branding it yourself, right? Like putting your own brand on it. You're not talking about leaving their brand name on or making it generic, right? You're talking about branding yourself. If you're talking about putting your own brand name on it and creating your own brand with it, absolutely, for sure. That's exactly what you want to do. That's bundling right there. But you don't want to do it with generic products or with a mixture of different brand names on the same products. Matthew Cooper says, should I present my bundled item on my main page? If so, how? All right, Matthew, that is something, I'm glad you brought this up because I neglected to think of that for my presentation, but that is an added difficulty. That's a serious added difficulty. I'm glad you mentioned it, seriously, man, because making the image so that it showcases everything but still stays within Amazon's TOS of filling up the image space and keeping the white background and all that is a difficulty. That is why I recommend hiring a professional photographer who works with product photography for Amazon, because they know the rules and they'll be on the lookout for that sort of thing. But yeah, you definitely, that will be part of what you want to do as well when you're strategizing. Like when you have the products in hand and you're figuring out how to do your packaging and figuring out the weights and figuring out all that sort of stuff, whether it's feasible, you want to be doing the same thing with your photography options on the feasibility there, because you don't want to not be able to fit all of the products in your image or fit them in a way that showcases them well, because that can create a problem for people not actually knowing the value you're offering when the picture is trying to sell the product. So yeah, it really depends. I can't really say how, because there's so many millions of products and so many millions of different bundle combinations you can make. It really just depends on what you're looking at and all about how you're going to orient it, get it all set up for that photo. All right, Fish says, how much more can you charge by bundling? A percent will help. Okay, so that's a good question. That's also a thing where you can't really answer perfectly. There is no magic percent, but I'm going to say, yeah, definitely use a photographer, Matthew. I'm going to say that when you're, Fish, it's a great question, but it's very hard to give a number on. But I'll give you the example from what I'm doing in my market, because this is what I'm doing right now, and I'm teaching you guys from my hands-on experience with this. So in my market right now, with my bundle, I would say the median price for competitors is somewhere in the $14 to $22 range, all right? And so we'll say the dead center is somewhere around like $17, $18. I'm selling my product for 21 at the moment. I plan on going up further in time because I think at minimum my product is offering value about $25, but I've been selling between 20 and 21, and that is about a 25 to 30% premium on a lot of the competitors. So that's something you can take into consideration, but dude, it really is impossible to say because it depends on what the market rate is of what you're bundling, right? Like for instance, the most expensive in my market is $12 plus $23, I think, 22 or 23. So that's $35. If someone were to buy products separately of the same quality that I'm offering at the highest price, they'd pay $35. I'm offering it for 21. So you want to have that magic area where it's just so irresistibly tantalizing, but also competitive within your main market. You're not trying to undercut the lowest seller of the single primary product. I hope that helps. Matt Mark asks, any percentage limit guideline recommendations of main product for the bundled item? Let me read that again. Any percentage limit guideline recommendations of main product for the bundled item? Product cost percentage, yeah, cool, thanks. That also, that's one of the things, see, you guys are asking really great questions because these all relate to that kind of artistic side of things where it mixes with the science, because these questions are so hard to give an answer to without there being examples of what you're looking at. Like if I just go from memory, like those mugs we were talking about, the tea mugs, they were ranging between $20 and $22, right? I imagine people weren't selling single mugs for $20 before. They were maybe more on like the $15 range. This is just me guessing. But I think, anyway, but if you're saying, I think I understand what you're saying though, you just want to know how much do you want to spend on the add-on compared to the main product. If that's what your question is, then I would say you want the cost of the main product to be like in the 75 to 90% range. At most 2/3. At most 2/3. If that answers your question, you want no more than the bundled product is 33% of your overall cost and the main product is 66%. I would never go beyond that. But ideally, if you're spending more like 25% or less, that's probably better, at least just from my thought process. If you used an influencer to boost sales for your product pre-bundle, would you tap that influencer again to pitch the bundled product sort of as a new product? You totally could, Tony. The only issue with that is that if you're going to update your product with a bundle, then you're essentially transforming your product and you'd have to change all the details and the photos on your ASIN. So you'd want to completely update the listing, and that would cause some re-indexing. It might not destroy your ranking or anything. It'll go away and come back probably to some degree. But if you needed to make that change because say the market was changing and you needed to keep up with it, otherwise you're going to die, then yeah, absolutely. I would totally hop on an influencer that sold your product before, or promoted it, I should say, and say, hey, I've got a new improved version. Let's do this again. And if they're down for it, yeah, for sure, go for it. No reason why not to. How many items should you bundle? I plan to have 5 small stuff that would go well with main product. It's really same thing, Fish. That's going to be the artistic side. You have to look at your market, really try to get a feel for what it is to be a customer in that market, what they're looking for, what they do in addition to whatever the main product is serving that they engage in, and make sure that you're not adding anything that they would consider just fluff or junk that they would toss in the garbage. You don't want to offer that because people don't want to buy clutter. And I should say most people don't just want to buy as much as they can get for their money because it's there. they want to buy something that actually offers usefulness, practical value to them. So really just as a matter of what are those 5 things, what wonderful thing, what value, what advantage are they giving to the customer over buying the main product and then researching those different things, seeing if they want all of them or seeing if they want 2 of them. So, you know, sometimes you can just fix that problem with price. If you can do a bundle of your main product with 5 things and it be priced well enough and still profitable for you that it's just like, I don't even know what these things are, but I should buy them. If you can do that, then go for it. Ari or Harry says, when you bundle, do you bundle in one package or sell them separately? You bundle in one package. If you're selling them separately, you're going to be paying multiple Amazon fees. And usually you're only doing that if you're doing like cross promotions where you set up a discount. Like you'll see on certain listings, there'll be a little like highlighted sentence that says there are promotions with this product. You click on it, it goes, takes you down the listing page. And it'll be like 10% off if you buy this product with such and such other product of the same seller. You don't want to do that with bundling unless you already have good standalone products and you're trying to get extra sales by capturing traffic from your existing products to your new products. You want to bundle them together as one ASIN. Tony, you're funny. Okay. All right. Yeah, Matt. Yeah, 25% is safe. The lower the better, really. It just depends, though. It's hard to say. So if you improve your existing product by bundling, you can keep your old ASIN. Yeah, for sure. There's no reason you can't. The only way that I could imagine that not making sense is if you changed your product somehow to the point that it was fitting in a different category, which then you're not really bundling and upgrading, you're changing completely. But yeah, you can, like for instance, let's take it to a lesser extent, you know, because a bundle of say the tea mug and adding an infuser, that's an obvious, you're adding a physical thing. But say you have a tea mug and it's 14 ounces, but you're noticing the trend in the market, everybody's moving to 16-ounce mugs and they want 16-ounce mugs. That's where you would say, you know what, I'm going to change my mug to 16 ounces because that's where everyone's at. And it's a little bit of a dance because if you change your product completely, then you do want to make sure that you're completely out of your original inventory before your new stuff starts landing. So that's kind of a timing thing. You would probably want to be using like a third-party warehouse to have your new stock sent to so that it can be quickly sent to Amazon when you know you're about to run out of stock, and then maybe only be out of stock for like a day or half a day because they start processing the new stuff when you're like on your last 20 or 50 of your main product that it used to be. Let's see, Randolph. How would one research if a smaller product along with the primary product is what people want? YouTube. So there's, you know, you can do whatever you want to look into it. You can look at bloggers, you can look at YouTube, you can look at retail stores and what they're putting next to each other on the shelves, whatever you want to do. But the easiest for finding out what people are actually buying right now is just going to the competitors of that main product and looking underneath a little bit lower than the buy box area where it says frequently bought together, and you'll see, you know, a couple related accessories or similar kitchenware or similar gardenware or similar auto parts, whatever it is. So frequently bought together and customers also bought this. Those two areas are where you're going to harvest all your existing product potential feasible combos. Mark again, ever recommend having a variation in your bundled listing that's just the main? Yeah, you know, I've thought of doing this. Item to give potential customers not wanting the metal cheaper option. Yeah, I totally, in fact, I just talked to somebody specifically about doing this, and I totally recommend it. Because what happens is the beauty of that strategy, Mark, is that if you can elbow your way into the market with a high value bundle to the point that you're on par with your main competitors who are still just doing a single option, then exactly, you just also offer the single option yourself, and you can offer it at a competitive price, and you can possibly even raise the price on your bundle. And there is the risk of it causing some ranking issues where one or the other starts going down or up. and maybe you find a middle ground that isn't as good as having one superpowered product. I'm not as skilled on that concept because I haven't done it, but it makes sense to me that it wouldn't hurt to explore doing the single product and see if you can dominate in that now, because if you're doing well enough in the market with your bundle, you can add that as an offering to your customers as well, since they're already looking at your listing versus the competitors selling singles. Is it a good idea, Fishgan? Is it a good idea to sell your bundled products separately to know if it's worth to bundle and customer knows its price on Amazon? Is it a good idea to sell your bundled products separately to know if it's worth it to bundle and customer knows its price on Amazon? Not sure I fully get what you're saying. And are you just saying that are already sold separately and people would just have to buy them separately if they wanted them otherwise? Maybe just clarify that a bit for me, Fish. Ram says, if I bundle 3 items and also sell them individually, can I take advantage of combining the review numbers to show up on all 3 items? Only if they're on the same listing, if I understand it correctly. So if, say for instance, yeah, like if you already have a listing existing and it's got 3 variations of the same product and you want to create a bundle of those 3 and you add that as another variation on the listing, then yes, you'll retain all those reviews. That's a great idea. And people who want all 3 can buy all 3 at some slightly discounted price, and you can add a whole nother SKU to your listing, and possibly, if there's more demand for that, increase your sales overall. So Fish, I still, sorry man, I'm trying to figure out what you're getting at here. So if it's a good idea to sell your bundle products separately to know if it's worth to bundle. No, it's available separately and is, okay. So is it a good idea to sell your bundled product if a bundle already exists on the market? Is that what you're saying? Like if there's already a bundle there, but there's not as much competition for the bundle? Is that what you're saying? Mark, can a variation be added to a listing down the road? Oh, I think, did you just add the same? Hang on, I'll read this, sorry. Can a variation be added to, Fish, I'm sorry, man. Mark, can a variation be added to a listing down the road after the bundled listing has been created and is in use? Can a variation be added to a listing down the road? Yeah, I think that's kind of the same thing that I was talking about with, oh, well, that's kind of similar related to the previous question we just talked about, isn't it? I have given an example in the first message. Customer knows its price on Amazon. Say a mug and spoon sold separately and bundled together. I could read it, Fish, but I'm not getting it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry, man. You can write it in like a huge paragraph on the Facebook group if you want and tag me, and I'll totally answer it. But I'm just not getting it. If you need to write 5 paragraphs and divide it into 3 messages, go for it in the chat here. All right, we got 5 more minutes. Thank you. So if I bundle a cup and spoon under one listing, and I give out free spoons to buyers if they leave a comment, I will bump up the feedback numbers for the bundle. So Ram, are you talking about like having a spoon sent to them separately after they purchase that, like they can redeem from their, that's they're told about on their insert, and they redeem the spoon by going to a landing page or something? Or are you just saying like you just automatically buy one, get this free promotion built into Amazon, and you pay out of pocket Amazon fees and stuff on the extra spoon? Generally, just Ram, just to add on that, I don't think that's a good strategy. I wouldn't really recommend it. It's just, if you're selling 50 a day, you're not going to be wanting to send 50 spoons to random people a day. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Gotcha. Yeah. So if it's through the insert, you know, unless you have an automated system where you have a fulfillment center sending those spoons out at super cheap price, It's just not gonna be worth it. Not gonna be worth it. Maybe a bundle should be offered as an option. The primary product is the main product, and the customer scrolls down and see the product. Yeah, we talked about that, Randolph. I think Fish wants to know if you can add the prices of the two separate items together to understand how much. Yes, yes, yes. I totally get that. Yes, yes. Yeah, if that's what you're asking, Fish, then yes, that is how you would gauge how you would price your product. Because like I said before, with what I'm doing, the most expensive in the market is $35. If you do the least expensive in my market of what I've combined, then you're looking at about 20, depending on the pricing at the given time or promotions or anything, you're looking at between $20 and $24. So I'm undercutting the lowest and the highest with my product, bundling the two. So anybody looking for the two, they're just kind of crazy if they don't buy my product unless they don't see it. And down the road, I plan on increasing prices further, so I get a bit more of a premium because I've got more legit review history and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, you definitely can figure out that. Okay, I have a coffee mug as one listing and a spoon as the other, then a third listing that bundles them. Is that a good idea? You know, it's fine. You're not talking about having them as like, you're talking three separate listings, like you sell a mug, you sell a spoon, and you sell a mug and spoon, right? You're not talking like one listing with a mug is one variation, a spoon is one variation, and the mug and spoon is one variation, right? Which technically is against the rules with Amazon. I don't even know if you'd be able to do it. So yeah, well, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. You know, as long as your pricing can be suited so that each product, so the bundle and the separate items, as long as they serve their own markets well and they're not just sapping away from one or the other. Like if you're selling a mug and a spoon right now and you add a bundle and the bundle just starts taking off, but all your sales for your mug and your spoon individually dry up, then it didn't really do anything for you. But if you see that you can sell all three and still have traffic and still have velocity on all three, then I don't see any problem with it. You get what I'm saying? Does that answer your question, dude? All right, well, I'm gonna assume that that is good enough for answering that one. So anyway, we got 2 more minutes, guys. Does anyone have any other questions? Cool, awesome, yes. Thank you, Fish. I'm so glad I was able to answer that. Any examples that you found of terrible bundles? Dang, you know, that's a good question. Yeah, you know, so the terrible bundles I've seen are usually just like, it's just like I said in the presentation, you don't want to have gimmicky garbage things, right? Like for instance, you know, if somebody has a kitchenware product and they just add like some generic kitchen type product, like a random hot plate or like a scrubby. Those super popular right now, those silicone scrubbies that you use to wash dishes. If they just add that completely randomly and it's just a random ugly color, random ugly pattern, doesn't fit branding, it's just completely random and generic, it's just crap. You don't want to do that because here's the thing, like kitchenware is an obvious example because it's like, you know, it applies to all sorts of things. Lots of people buy something and they want it to fit in with what they already have. You know what I mean? Like if you have a bunch of stainless steel appliances, you usually buy stainless steel appliances to match. You don't go out and buy like the, you know, you don't have your coffee maker be that kind of off-white eggshell, and then you buy the black toaster with your stainless steel fridge and your ceramic glass stovetop. You know what I mean? You try and make things match. So you don't want to just throw out a random piece of junk that costs you 10 cents and think it's going to add value. You want to make sure that it either fits your product, matches your product, or matches whatever you think your product is seeking to serve in the styling or the desire of the customer. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Mark. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, guys, 6 o'clock my time here, so It's been a pleasure. Hope you guys had fun. I did. So anyway, have a great night, everybody. We'll see you in the Facebook group, and I think I'm scheduled next for February 8th. I'm probably going to talk about customer service. So we'll see you then. And hey, I appreciate all you UK people jumping on. Hey, I feel the love coming on. I think it's like midnight or something where you guys are. So nice. Or later, probably. Night, guys.